a weekend. Yeah, so it's Baldie back with more baseball talk. Listen, I was all hyped up on the Red Sox last week before the big Yankee series. They ended up taking 2 of 4, which normally is pretty good, but the fashion in which they did it was not. Let me see. To open the second half, they won against the Yankees 5-4 on Friday, the 14th, a couple days ago. With the infamous Benintendi walk-off walk and the Chapman meltdown. That's fucking awesome. That was a thrilling win. You'd like to have the walk-off hit. Hi, Bowser. That didn't happen, but they still won. That's a big deal. Then the next night, you had the epic, ridiculously epic 4-1 loss against the Yankees in 16 innings at Fenway Park. I was... Sorry, buddy. I was bummed when I went to extras because Chris Sale dominated the Yankees. He had 13 Ks. It looked like it was going to be a good night. Then Craig Kimbrell showed that he's mortal. Blew the save against Holiday, in the 9th. It ended up going 16 innings. The last pitcher Boston had left, really, that they could use was fucking Doug Fister, who sucks. And as soon as I saw him come in, he knew it was over, man. And sure enough, an inning later it was. He just can't keep runs off the board. Never could. So, anyways, that was a demoralizing loss. All I could think about was the 12 or 13 inning marathon game at Yankee Stadium in 2004 where Jeter dove into the stands, and I forget who had the walk-off hit that day, but I was heartbroken. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to be the Red Sox equivalent of that. It's going 16 innings. We're going to get a walk-off home run at some point. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, because all of a sudden there's a fucking power outage in Boston and nobody can hit. Everybody forgot how to hit, and a complete lack of power in the lineup. Then you have the doubleheader on the 16th. CC Sabathia, the Red Sox just can't touch him this year. That's all there is to it. The Yankees don't have squat for pitching, but for some reason he just destroys the Red Sox and they can't adjust. They lost 3-0 in the day game. Then in the night game, David Price destroyed the Yankees. 3-0. Him and Kimbrell combined to shut it down and split the weekend series. Yeah, that was crazy. The one thing I want to talk about... Well, I want to talk about a couple things. Okay. 2 things this week. 2 things that I could think of. No. 3. Like normal. For one, David Price, who I'm not a fan of, and if you watch this micro podcast, which is usually just me bitching at the camera about the Red Sox, you'll know that I'm not his biggest fan, and I'm not. And really never have been. It dates back to when he debuted the second half of the 2008 season. Red Sox forced Game 7 in the ALCS against the Rays, and who do they bring out? They bring out this young hotshot kid to close it down for like 2 or 3 innings, and it's David Price. And they were super cocky about it too. I'll never forget that, and I was excited when he joined the Red Sox because he was always one of our biggest nemesises, but now he's just being a prick all the time. Picking fights with the media, picking fights with broadcasters, blah, blah, blah. He used to pick fights with David Ortiz before he joined the... whatever. It's in the past, I guess, because at least for this one specific day, Sunday night, David Price threw 8 innings, only allowed 7 hits, 0 earned, no walks at all, and struck out 8 Yankees in a game that really, for being the middle of July, we really needed. It was kind of a big deal. Yeah, we're sitting atop the AL East for 3.5 games above the Rays and Yankees, where we were a day ago. Whatever. Man, that was big. David Price actually came out and won one. It was his undoubtedly his biggest game as a Red Sox so far. It's yet to be seen if he can pitch in the postseason at all. But he did it, so that's cool. I even thanked him on Twitter publicly. Didn't get a response, but I did have a cool mini conversation with Pete Abraham, Pete Abe, at Pete Abe on Twitter, who writes for the Boston Globe, and he's trying not to signal the panic button, but when Boston has literally no power, struggles for runs every night, doesn't even start to get hits until late in the game at all. I feel there's a power outage in Boston, which is my second thing that I'd like to talk about. So yeah, before last night's game against Toronto, which they lost, of course, I think they were something like 0 for 52. I don't even know the stat. Don't quote me. Okay, this is not a super accurate stats-driven show here for the 5 people that watch at home. I think they were 0 for 52 or 0 for 42 in the week. Since the end of the walk-off walk game on Friday. So pretty much the weekend. They were 0 for 42 or something with runners in scoring position. It's unacceptable. It's like they just can't come up with a big hit anymore. Everybody knows it's a doubles hitting team when they do hit. Now it's like a double play hitting team. See what I did there? And they don't hit home runs anymore. Now I pick on some of my Yankee fan friends that the Yankees, all they do is hit home runs and they can't manufacture runs. And that is true, and that's why they're in third place, partially. Plus injuries, plus they have no pitching. But the Red Sox have pitching, and so far this season, they really haven't had a lot of big injuries. And Erod's coming off the DL. He's pitching, he pitched the other night. He did all right. He pitched against Toronto. Only allowed 3 runs through 6, I think. But man, they just can't hit. They have no power. Not only can they not hit with runners in scoring position, but they can't hit the long ball. They're dead last in the majors. And it's starting to hurt. Frankly, they should be 8, 9, or 10 games up in the division right now, specifically because of how the Yankees have just completely fallen apart before the All-Star break. And we're letting the Rays, which, yeah, they might be a good team, but they're not going to be really good for another year or two. We're letting them creep right back into it, and that's unacceptable. Especially, we have a golden opportunity this year when the Yankees are still really a year away from contending, or a big trade away from contending, really. And Baltimore and Toronto are dead last. They're fighting over last place week in and week out. And our biggest problem is the Tampa Bay Rays, I think, other than ourselves. So yeah, Boston can't hit. What are they going to do? I mean, everybody says, "Oh, the answer's right here. The answer's on the roster." I don't think so, man. Like, we're past the halfway point in the season. We're almost to game 100. All right, it's the end of July. The Boston Red Sox are not all right. They have plenty of pitching. They just can't hit. So everybody says, "Oh, they're going to get Todd Frazier." Todd Frazier's hitting .202 with like 16 home runs. He either hits a home run or strikes out, quite frankly. He strikes out on average more than once a game. All right, so Todd Frazier's not the answer. I know that they can get him for next to nothing because they're not even going to have to pay the rest of his salary this year. Plus, he's walking at the end of the year. They're not going to bring him back, and it might take a 4th or 5th tier prospect to get him, maybe 2. So Martin Prado, I guess, is on the DL now. They're not going to get him. He was expensive to begin with. I would say go with Jed Lowry, but he's not going to fix anything either. I mean, he's hitting like .278, which is way better than, well, right now, pretty much any of our infielders. But if Jed Lowry stays healthy, that'll help, but that's not going to fix the offense. That's going to plug a hole. Frankly, Mitch Moreland has fallen off the deep end. What's-her-face on ESPN thinks he should bat third. Give me a fucking break. He hasn't hit a ball in like a week and a half. His last extra base hit was like literally 3 weeks ago. So what are the options here? I mean, if they don't want to get rid of Rafael Devers, I say maybe you don't even go after a third baseman. You keep plugging the hole at third with Su Wei Lin, and Devin Marrero and Brock Holt, who really, that's his weakest position. He can't really play third that well either. Hate to tell you. Now that he's back off the 60-day DL, congratulations, coming back from Vertigo. I say get a first baseman. If you don't want to pay anything in terms of prospects for a third baseman, you might not be able to even get Adrian Beltre, who they never should have let go in the first place about 10 years ago. Because Texas is suddenly contending somewhat. What are the options? There's not a lot of options. I say give Rafael Devers a month in AAA and then call him up. He can't do any worse than everybody else. So what I say is get a first baseman. Who's available? I don't know. That kid from Oakland, New York just got, I think. I don't know if it's official yet. So, honestly, my solution is this. Nobody wants to talk about it because they think it'll never happen. But all the rumors are hitting up lately that Jeffrey Loria obviously is selling off the Miami Marlins and wants to trade pretty much the entire roster. And the one guy they're going to have problems trading is Giancarlo Stanton, because he is the highest paid player in sports. He has a 13-year deal for $325 million, 11 years left on that contract. He can opt out after the 2020 season, which he won't. So they think trading him is impossible because there's only like 3 or 4 teams in baseball that could afford to grab him. So my idea is this. Center a package around Jackie Bradley Jr. and or Andrew Benintendi. I know it sucks, but you're getting Giancarlo Stanton back, one of the best hitters in baseball, who's having a particularly healthy, powerful season. Boston can afford him. Shift Mookie Betts to center field. And at least for the short term, worry about the 2 or 3 year window that Boston has right now and win a World Series with the time you have. At some point, Boston's going to have to pay Bogarts in, I think, 3 seasons. They're going to have to pay Betts in 5 years, who's going to make probably just as much as Stanton does now. And who am I missing here? Chris Sale, who's pretty much the best pitcher on the planet. So my idea is to trade for Giancarlo Stanton now. You'll overshadow any trade made at the trading deadline. Be instant favorites to win the World Series. Yeah, they need relief help too. They're looking at some dude from Miami. Try to make a package for them, whatever. Look, Dombrowski is getting old. He has not won a World Series yet. Then again, he might have been with the Florida Marlins when John Henry owned that franchise. I don't remember. Anyway, he didn't win one with Detroit. He wants to win one now with Boston. He's not in it for the long haul. Okay? He wants to win now. Boston has a good 2 or 3 year window to win a World Series now. Make it happen. Get Giancarlo Stanton. I make the deal. Real quick, the last thing I want to talk about is how overrated this Aaron Judge guy is. First of all, I don't know if you saw the pictures, but he's like a closet Red Sox fan, which is actually kind of funny. It looks, it does look a little silly. People circulating that picture of him wearing Red Sox gear in college everywhere on Facebook and Twitter, but it is real. It's not a fake, and the New York Post posted it, not the Boston Globe or the Boston Herald. or any dumb shit like that. Yeah. So he's not that good, honestly, because he can't hit sliders and he can't hit breaking balls. He can't hit curveballs. Pretty much every home run he's hit this year, all 31 of them, were straight cookies right down the middle of the plate. Well, guess what? After the home run derby, when he got a lot of cookies, like I said in the last episode, and after the end of the first half, Aaron Judge hasn't hit shit. He was 1 for 18 in 4 games against the Red Sox, which also contained a 16-inning game in which he played the majority of it. I think he played the entire game, actually. Yeah, he did. He went 1 for 18. He has 2 hits lifetime at Fenway Park. Oh, and by the way, that one hit that he got during the series, if I remember right, it was a little infield dribbler that somehow was not called an error on Bogarts. It was misplayed, and he beat the throw. That's your MVP right there. Not an MVP in my book, sorry. He's going to come down to earth real quick. Might be a superstar someday, but my tune has completely changed on Aaron Judge. And without further ado, as we fade out till next week, I give you